Welcome to KK's Quilt Studio. It's the beginning of the year, January 2019, and our thoughts go to getting organized or getting better organized. May have been one of your New Year's resolution. If you have a quilting business or are thinking about starting a quilting business, how do you get organized? How do you conduct your business? And this is a topic of many discussions in a Facebook group that I administer called Machine Quilting Professional Business. So if you're thinking about starting a quilting business or are already in a quilting business and you'd like to ask or share tips about what's worked or hasn't worked for you, we'd love to have you. So be sure to pop over to Facebook and join our group today. Today we're going to talk about how I organize my business and some tips that you might be able to use, especially if you're beginning or maybe need some other tools in your tool bag as far as running your business. The first thing I want to show you is something I started using this year. It's called OneNote. If you have a newer computer, it's already part of the Microsoft Office or items that are already included in your Windows computer. So how do I use Microsoft OneNote? Well, here I started a Quilts in Progress notebook, so QIP notebook, and I've done some quick notes on upcoming quilts. Now these aren't exactly the quilts that I have for my customers, but it's just an example of things that you can do. So the first page that I've added, and just to add a new page, just come down here and click plus page. That'll give you a new item for each customer you have, and you can use this notebook to gather ideas just like a pencil and paper notebook, but this one's electronic. So I brought in some quilting designs. I made some quick notes. She's doing a quilt called a Florida quilt, measurements, the date she dropped it off, the date I delivered it, and I made a note that she needs it by December 1. So this was a quilt from last year that I started and say she needed it by December 1, so I delivered it to her at the end of November. I also put in some designs that I thought about using, and either one that I created or one of my own. You have drawing tools up here, so I did some sketches, some quick things that I could maybe take into my design program and create a design for her. Just some ideas that I had and things that I sketched out. So as you check things off, you can check the box, check them off, and any other notes that you want to keep. I just find this really handy. And also, if I want to share it with my customer, I can share some of the notes and drawings that I've made on her quilt. This is a quilt for Denise, and I had some doodlings of some drawings I found on the internet, her picture of her quilt that she had sent to me in EQ. So I have these things to keep on the page. These are all electronic files that you can add to the notebook. Some of the things you can keep track of and just give you quick ideas about how you're going to create the quilting design or how you're going to lay out their quilt. I track my information on my quilts also by using Excel spreadsheets, and so I created this spreadsheet with the customer name, address, phone number, her email, again, date received, promise delivered, and then this is my intake form. So I'll record the size, how many square inches if I'm charging by square inches, and then linear inches. I use that to record if I'm going to bind the quilt for her, and a little quilt description on how I can identify this quilt. Then if I'm going to use this as a pantograph, custom or semi-custom, how much I'm going to charge. because this is an Excel spreadsheet, I can enter an amount here, like my square inches, times a rate that I put in, and this box will automatically calculate out, and then I'll get a running total of how much that I'm going to bill her for. So if I had to complete the quilt top, say sew on some borders or square up the quilt, do some repairs, maybe there were some loose seams, I can also note that in the charges column. Then at the bottom, I'll apply the tax due, the total amount, also keep track of whether the batting and the backing were provided, or if I am providing it for, how many yards, and again, running cost of the price. If I'm going to do thread charges, I can also keep track of my thread colors and just a lot of information that I note on my intake forms. So that's a little peek inside my quilting business. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you'd like to request more videos similar to this or ask me any other questions, just drop me a comment down below in the comments section, or drop on over to my website or the Facebook group. So until we meet again, I wish you happy quilting.